The courtyard area is done. Stay tuned and all will be revealed. Well, good afternoon everyone and welcome back to Piccadilly. Now, this was pretty much the scene that you saw at the end of the last video, and I did say that I would probably have to modify this courtyard area to make the river bigger. So that's what I did. Well, I did say this in the last video that I probably would be doing this, and I've decided to pretty much cut out the old section and mould that back in with the wall and everything else. The reason being is because it wasn't flattening off properly and it was lumpy and it just wasn't sitting properly. So I think I will do what I suggested, was put it all down, rebuild everything, and then go round with the, I don't think it's silicone, but it's like a clear sealer, polymer type affair. So go round it with that, seal it all up, ready for the water pour a bit later in the year. And then just do that, you know, I think it'll be fine. So you can see now I've gone ahead and put these two walls in. That's all been sealed in with the glue gun, and that's all been sealed up now. And I've cut out this section here, and I've put another piece of card back into there to build it up a little bit. Now, there is a little bit of a mound there, so I do need to work out exactly where it's coming. But what I do realise is that this area around here does come out quite more significantly than I've got it. This part of the bridge is reprinting, and I've also reprinted some of the supports as well. So I'll have to just replace quite a lot of that, but it'll be all right. And we'll see in a minute. Right, quick update. What I've done is, obviously you can tell that this part has been reduced. But I've just screwed back up some of the newspaper that I took out and glued it back in. And I've found this piece, which I've just cut to shape, and I'll glue that back in, kind of over the top like that, and then mould it in. It will need some colour changing. It's a bit on the dark side, but that's easily done with a few scatters and things like that. So I think instead of me trying to start from scratch and build it all up from nothing, I've already got a basis there, so I might as well use it. Okay, I'll get that stuck in with some super glue and I'll catch you shortly. And there we go, probably about a minute since the last clip, but that piece is now in. And it's, apart from the fact there's a big white blob there and there are some gaps around the outside, it's almost hard to believe that that wasn't built up from scratch. But there we go. That's literally, the whole of that mound has probably taken 5 minutes with a bit of screwed up newspaper, glue it down and then put that on the top. So I just need to blend in these pieces now with some sand and some more of that plastic shingle that I made, if you can see it just there. So I'll get that done, and then it's just a case of darkening this part of that down, and I think the river's not far off sorted, I think. Anyway, I'll catch you shortly. Right, progress indeed. As you can see now, that is literally just come off the printer, and it's literally just a curved piece of plastic. And looking at it on the printer, I thought, no, that's far too big, that will never fit. But actually, looking at that, I reckon that's going to be absolutely spot on, and it gives a reasonable distance here, so that the river's got the space to turn around. I don't think that's too big. I reckon that'll be about right. And so I should go ahead. I've got to paint those bits. They're the brackets for the handrail. And then it'll be a case of putting the handrail on again. I've got a feeling, because some of the bits have broken, so I'll have to sort of replace that anyway. I'll have to have a think about how to do that, whether to use the plastic strip that I've got, but I do happen to have some nylon wire which might work better, so in which case it might be just easier to replace it all. But I'll have a think, and we'll take it from there. Right, welcome back. It's been a couple of days since the last clip, but I thought I'd show you what's going on. I'm remaking the whole bridge, basically because it did get a little bit damaged. The handrail was, I think it was something I bought, or I can't remember whether it was 3D printed strings. As you start a 3D print, the printer prints a string going down the side, and I wasn't sure whether I used that. I can't remember. It's been a little while ago, but as I tried to cut it, it just disintegrated. So what I decided to do is remake the whole bridge with obviously the bigger curve, as you saw earlier on. And I'm using some wire for this one. I was kind of hoping to be able to give you a size, but I've had this for a little while. It looks like about 0.5 millimetre in diameter. I don't know. But it seems to be going on a lot easier now. And I can certainly get it a lot straighter looking than I did the other one. So I'm hoping that this will work. It does seem to be bonding a little bit better than the plastic to plastic. This is obviously metal, so we'll see how it goes. Welcome back. So you can see now I've just finished putting the handrail on all the way around. Again, it's not absolutely spot on perfect, but I'm quite pleased with that. I'll try and bend a few of the supports to make the railing a little bit more even, but on the whole, it's fine, I think. And I think once it's on the layout as well, you won't notice it too much. And this wire, I don't have to paint it, because one, it's already silver, and secondly, I think it will blend in an awful lot better than the plastic strip I had on the previous version. So I'll let that dry a little bit more, harden off a bit. I've got to trim that far edge just over there, and I will get it on. Welcome back. So you can see in front of you now, I've got the stage, which has been 3D printed, and the legs were literally just pieces of 1x1 plastic card that I've got. These cross braces going across the corner here. If you remember, I was talking about the strips that the 3D printer draws, and it's some of that. I'll show you. Right, that bit running down the side there. And you can see the steps are printing. All right, I'll catch you later. Right, next up. Now this is incredibly fiddly. You can even see that's moved under my breath there. These are the escape or fire escape steps, which come down from the side of the mill. I'll just show you where. Kind of like that. And I'm in the courtyard area, so I'll show you now on the model. And that's going in this area here. So yeah, it's all a bit fiddly, but one step at a time. Show you in a bit. Right, welcome back. So I'm just teasing you a little bit longer before I show you this area down here, but that's the scene from the this way now, and you can see I've put the new bridge in, which I'll show you a close up in a bit, and also some foliage which is now coming around the corner a little bit more. I've had to completely rebuild the riverbed and repaint it, and you know, to get it dark. Now what I will do, this part here needs to be considerably higher than that bit. Obviously there's a weir here. So what I'll do, when we're closer to the time, I'll put a plastic strip in there, a curved plastic strip, probably around about 3-4 millimeters maybe, and then pour the resin into that, and then pour the resin into the bottom section, so that there's two distinct levels, and then the weir will then just sort of sit over the top. I'll show you more about that later, but obviously, like I said, that has had to be completely overhauled to accommodate the new section. Right, let's turn you around a little bit so you can see the restaurant area that I did last week. And what have I done this week? Well, there's been absolutely loads. So let's take you off the tripod and a little bit closer. Right, starting with the lesser sections, if you like. We've got this area here, which probably was a bit like a fire escape, to be honest with you, for these doors here. And I've also put that wall in there, which does look a little bit like a pizza when it's on there, but it's not quite so vibrant in real life. But again, and then next up, you can see I've got these seats in here. Now, they were 3D printed in one unit with the item lying on its back. So the three strips, as you can see them, would be face down on the printer. And I did kind of simplify the design a little bit. So it had the stands underneath. I'll try and zoom in if I can. You can probably just make out there is a little stand down kind of there and another one there. And there's a wheel in the middle, which would have been the trolley shape. And obviously I tried to replicate the cushion. So that's the blue part as well. All right, moving on. And then, of course, we've got the stage area here. I showed you this in its unpainted form. So you know that the top section is 3D printed and the legs are a piece of 1x1 plastic card strip. And obviously I 3D printed the steps and the railings to go around the outside. I'll show you that from a different angle. There you go, that's from the other side. So obviously these steps here come from the restaurant area where the canopies are, the parasols. And somebody, you go through that little gate just there, and then the steps up in there. And obviously, like I said, there's a railing running all around, but you can also see the seats from the other angle as well. Now, the other thing that sort of stands out to mind on this particular shot are these beams. I'm presuming it was some kind of transport type pulley system. Again, I'm not totally sure. If you know what they were for in the original mill, please do say. I mean, having said that, it could be a modern construction and with the idea of putting some kind of roof over it, a temporary roof, which could be retracted or placed on. I don't know. It might be something that's a recent addition. And I haven't investigated whether it was there in the original setup. Anyway, let's have a look at the steps in the background. Now, I have to say these steps were a bit of a nightmare, as you can probably appreciate. I did show the 3D print of the steps themselves, but fitting the railings and getting them to stay there and not stick to the tweezers was, well, you can just imagine, can't you? So they're not perfect by any means, and you'll probably, if you look really closely, you'll probably see they're all wobbly and deformed. But to be honest with you, I actually don't care. The fact that they're there is a matter of I think it's an achievement in its own right, to be honest with you. There are 4 staircases, no, 5 staircases, as you can see. Obviously 2 going down this way, 3, 4, and then that one there. That one was easy. But getting the staircases in at the back here and getting these to stay put and then getting the railings on, well, as I said before. So I'm really, really glad that that was done. And I'm glad I attempted it. Now, just in case you want to do the orders yourself, I 3D printed obviously each section, and I stuck that bit to the wall, then that bit to the wall with the little platforms either end, then put this platform in, stuck it against the wall, then put the steps in, the steps, and then started to build the railings around the outside, and then put those steps in, and then put the railings on around the outside. So I'll show you those from a different angle. There you go. Now, the other thing I tried to do, because you can appreciate this would have been checker plate, or is checker plate, and in Engage, it's impossible. But the 3D printer, when you print a raft, it produces lines and then goes across like that. So it creates a checker pattern in its own right. So these pieces, when I printed them, I flipped them upside down. So you might just, if you look closely, you might just be able to see there is some kind of checker pattern on there. It's not brilliant, it's massively overscale, but again, I don't care. The fact that they're there is, well, I'm just really pleased the way they've turned out. And you know, you can certainly get the idea that of how the mill would have started to work, or how it is now even. And so you can start to see that the scene in that section, well, is complete, but it's also, you know, creating a whole image now from all the way around there. And if I just zoom you out a little bit more, you can see the whole scene now from the river coming round, and with the new path that's gone in. I did say I'd show you that in a minute, I will. The steps, the seats, the stage, the two walls, and all this girder work that's going over the top. So it's really, really, really coming together, all not to mention the reformed mound. I've obviously put some bushes on there as well. So I'll do you a close-up now on the bridge, the walkway going round, and then we'll call it a day. Right, as promised, I said that I would show you some of this walkway. Now, I did say earlier in the video that I had to completely replace the whole thing, and partly because it got damaged. The handrails were plastic strip, and they seem to go very brittle for some reason or another. I'm not quite sure why. So when something touched them, and with all the major reconstruction of the work just below the camera here, I just knocked it and they just snapped apart, you know. So when you've got sections that break all over, you're looking at a complete replacement as opposed to the curves that I was hoping to do. But you know, I'm quite glad really, because I think this one is a lot better than the first one, and certainly a lot more refined. So obviously it's had a brand new path section, pencil incoming. It's obviously had that brand new path section put in, and then I 3D printed these U shapes and stuck them on individually. That was a bit of a nightmare, trying to get them to stay put at the right angle and not fall off, if you like. I tried putting a little glue on, super glue, and sometimes that wouldn't bond and they'd fall off. And I tried putting more of a, I wouldn't say a blob of glue, but, you know, more glue. And they had to stay put for quite a long time. Like I said, trying to keep them in position when they wanted to shift around and settle at their own place. It was more complicated than I wanted it to be. Now, I'd also said earlier in the video that the handrails were wire, and they are wire. It's a twisted wire, which wants to stay straight more than anything else. It's not the type of like garden wire that you just bend it and that's it, it's bent. This type of wire, if you bend it, it will try and straighten itself. And so I thought that was probably better in the long run. I did try to use the nylon wire that I was telling you about, and it wouldn't stick very easily. And I was there probably half an hour just doing the first 4 posts. And when you've got 2 sides to this pathway to go, and there's probably, we're guessing, about 30 posts to put them on, that the post being the U-shaped parts, i.e. these bits where they stick to the top there, because that was all, each one was stuck individually. In the end I started doing them in pairs, which did speed things up a bit, but nevertheless they've got to both stay put for the glue to go off, and then it works. And the nylon wasn't. The metal, the wire that I've got here, the twisted wire, did seem to bond a lot quicker with most of them. Right, there you go, there's an overall view, and you can see the scene is starting to come together quite nicely now. I'm quite pleased with the way that's working out. So next one is going to be this area just around here. I want to get all these minor areas done before we restart on these buildings here. So hopefully that will be next week. So you take care of yourself, and hopefully I'll see you then. Bye for now.